Key features for the new SAM appliance, I think one of the most significant is the ability for SAM appliance itself and its software stack to support the internal crypto module or hardware security module as it did in the previous version. That's great for TSPs that are just setting up, who have no infrastructure and are setting up new. But for those that have established hardware security modules or crypto modules that support existing services like CA, OCSP, so SAM appliance can now leverage network-based hardware security modules for those TSPs that want that shared infrastructure. Hardware security modules are an expensive investment for any TSP or QTSP, and it makes sense for the SAM appliance to be able to leverage those to help people maximize their investment. It does have the added benefit of being somewhat faster than the embedded crypto module, only marginally. It does help with customers where those modules are in place and people want to leverage them. There are one or two nuances when you start looking at the eIDAS regulations, specifically around high availability for a network-based crypto module. The ADSS Server SAM appliance has been built and certified to be able to fulfill the eIDAS requirements, and obviously Ascertia is providing guidance to any TSP or QTSP that's looking to deploy the SAM appliance with external network-based crypto modules or hardware security modules. There's a number of features the new version of the SAM appliance make available. One being able to leverage an already established bank of network HSMs. That's kind of one of the biggest things that we were being asked about. Good from a performance standpoint, it's good from an operational standpoint. You've already got procedures built in around supporting these devices, so it makes sense for additional trust services like the SAM appliance to be able to leverage them. Other features that TSPs were really asking for was the original SAM appliance, or the first iteration, supported end user remote qualified electronic signatures, which perfect individuals can sign documents, transactions quite happily with authorizing those on their mobile device. TSPs, QTSPs, and customers wanted to take that to the next level and provide electronic sealing features. So eSeals as a use case has now been added, as well as end user signatures. Someone who's authorizing the use of an electronic seal at an organizational level can now do so using SAM appliance, certified as a remote qualified signature creation device. And they can do that in one of two ways, one being leveraging their mobile device to authorize an electronic seal to be used for a transaction or a number of transactions, or to authorize that electronic seal to be used for a certain time period. So you don't have the notification on your device to approve every single transaction, which would be rather cumbersome if you're automatically issuing electronic invoices. You would authorize a number of invoices to be signed for a particular time period. And the other thing that's kind of rolled into that was providing more flexibility around how electronic signatures were authorized. Predominantly, remote authorized signing is focused from an end user standpoint on, I have a credential securely stored on my mobile device that I use to authorize the use of my remote signature. It's extremely secure, but people wanted additional levels of flexibility. So the SAM appliance, in conjunction with these new features, now supports the ability for you to leverage an identity provider using SAML, OAuth, or OpenID Connect to provide greater flexibility in how you go about authorizing that remote signature. Your IDP provider that you may have deployed in your TSP can offer greater levels of flexibility to that authorization authentication experience. As the world continues to evolve and continues to change, I know Ascertia and other companies have talked about this digital evolution or the digitizing business process. It's been ongoing for probably the best part of a decade. And I think the world and the businesses that operate will continue to digitize lots of different business processes. There are some countries that are more mature in their digitization efforts for their digital economies, some less mature. So I see a collection of use cases that different governments, different countries will turn on as time goes by. In the UK, for example, we don't have any requirements currently or any drive currently for people to be digitally signing tax returns, by way of example. But that could come along in the future as the UK's digital evolution matures under the guidance of the government. So I think the use cases are going to be driven by countries' roadmap for digitization. And those are going to be citizens interacting with government, citizens interacting with banks. The typical use cases where a wet signature needs to be applied. So that's contracts for purchasing of goods, that could be vehicles, the conveyancing process, the application for mortgages and loans, the signing of tax documents being submitted into the government either at a personal level or at a business level. The list goes on. Every country is at a different level or different state of maturity as it comes to digitizing business process. For sure, there'll be new use cases come along that I and others at Ascertia and other organizations haven't even thought of yet, where a remote signature on a document or on a particular transaction will require the use of a legally binding signature, as it would do in the analog world, and that lends itself very nicely into remote authorized signing, especially as we look at the European Union and the eIDAS 2 requirements that are coming out, the digital wallet that EU citizens will have. All of those type of technological advancements lend themselves into using an electronic identity to authenticate yourself and sign a transaction, whatever that might be, as governments and organizations enable those use cases. So common criteria for any software or hardware product is an independent measure of the system, the component's trustworthiness. If you're deploying trust services products in a highly regulated environment, such as legally binding remote authorized signatures, products being deployed into the environment need to be independently tested and certified, as well as having a system-wide accreditation, audit and certification over the TSP's entire environment. Any products being placed in there to support the generation of keys, key certificate lifecycle management, all would require independent certification. People look to well-established certification schemes such as Common Criteria and FIPS. Both are used together to provide independent verification and testing on software and hardware products. And so for the SAM appliance, producing the first in the world to be Common Criteria certified, Ascertia is making that investment to ensure that TSPs can ensure they have a trustworthy system for generating keys and certificates for remote authorized legally binding signatures. It's super important that as we mature the product, add new features, add new functionality, we repeat that process time and time again, taking SAM Appliance 702 through that process to ensure that all of the new features that we've added to support external hardware, network-based hardware security modules, to support the e-sealing use case, to support the use of IDPs and all of the other features in the product was critically important. So working with our partner CC Lab and our certification partner Oxy was a natural fit and evolution for the product and the product's roadmap. Common Criteria EAL4 certified to the remote authorized signing standards, part and parcel to Ascertia, providing trustworthy systems that people can rely upon. SAM Appliance, and in fact all of the Ascertia product suite, built to ensure interoperability and conformance with standards like ETSI, Common Criteria, FIPS, RFCs that are out there that govern how keys and certificates are generated. We're fully committed to being standards compliant, and we're also committed to being an interoperable vendor. So we're members of the Cloud Signature Consortia, Ascertia products that can be leveraged by a TSP to drive workflow or to provide electronic signatures on the back end, all conform to and support Cloud Signature Consortia. So that international interoperability benchmark that enables products work very nicely together, and that you can mix and match technologies within a given deployment to aid TSPs being fully interoperable. And we take that a step further, I guess, when we look at the SAM appliance itself. Yes, it's fully conformant with the standards that we must support in order to supply remote authorized signatures and generating keys in the right way. We endeavor to support vendors when it comes to these external cryptographic modules or hardware security modules that we've now added support for. So ensuring interoperability at the standards level, but also ensuring interoperability at the technology level, where we're calling out to particular vendors to support those in a given deployment. We've obviously touched on the need to focus on a highly certified appliance that delivers the ability for a TSP or a QTSP to provide legally binding electronic signatures. And that's all about a user proving they control their private key. That's all to do with the way a user is enrolled. They've gone through identity vetting and identity proofing in order to be issued with a qualified digital signature key and certificate. That process requires providing of identity documents, so passport, driver's license, national identity. It requires a face-to-face or a video vetting session where a TSP would assign a vetting agent to ensure that you are the person in the identity documents are real, and you are a real live person. Once you've been issued that credential, you must store the keys in a suitably certified device, such as the SAM appliance. But the whole process around you authenticating to use the key proves that it's under your sole control. And for eIDAS, that's using a biometric or a suitably strong credential on your mobile device to authorize the use of your remote signing key, which is great in highly certified, highly regulated environments. But there are use cases where someone may want to use a lower level of authentication to authorize the use of a digital signature. Might not necessarily be qualified. It might be advanced, it might be AATL, it may even be a private PKI where they've issued these credentials. That lower assurance level provides the ability for you to use username and password, for example, to authorize the use of that remote signing key. SAM Appliance now provides a bit more flexibility around how you go about authorizing the use of a remote signing key to best suit the business requirements that's driving the use of that remote signature. Certified, highly regulated, extremely strong authentication required for qualified electronic signature or eSeal, or lower user ID password type authentication for less stringently regulated use case.